Welcome to 3 Minutes with Ark 2. I am Bruce Beach, a radiological scientific officer, and this is our nuclear survival complex. Many people in the public do not understand how fallout works. And in this video, I'm going to give you a simple explanation. Think of fallout as simply being dust that falls out of a nuclear mushroom cloud. This dust may have been blown hundreds of miles from where the explosion took place. The dust may be very thick and gritty, or just as often so fine that you won't notice it without looking for it. The problem is not the dust itself. The problem is that attached to the dust is a radioactive particle. Although it is possible to see fallout, you can't tell that there is a radioactive particle that is giving out radiation that you cannot see, hear, touch, smell, or feel. You cannot know that the radiation is there without the use of a special radiation detecting instrument such as these. It is emitting forms of light that the eye can't see. We call these forms of light names like X-ray, ultraviolet, infrared, and radio waves. Radioactivity is such a form of invisible light. While you might be able to see a single tiny piece of radioactive dust so that you could separate out a single mote and hold it in your hand, not to worry, it's so tiny that it won't hurt you.
Suppose for a moment that we're sitting in a superdome, like the gigantic superdomes where they play the Super Bowls. And every light in the place has gone out. There's not a single light, and it's pitch dark, and you cannot see one thing at all. Now suppose that in that superdome someone were to light a single match. That light from that one match would be visible everywhere in the superdome, but you couldn't see anything by it. But then suppose that everyone in the superdome took about a match. All the thousands of people there, maybe there are tens of thousands of people there, all took a match and lit it simultaneously. By the light of all of those matches, it would light up the whole of the superdome, and you'd be able to see everyone in the dome. Single match, and compare it to a single piece of fallout. There are many similarities. The head of the match is like the radioactive material on the dust, and the body of the match is the dust itself. When we strike the match, we see the radioactive material burning. In the case of the match, the stick burns. In case of fallout, the dust itself does not burn. It's just the radioactive material that is attached to it, like the head was attached to the match. When the match burns out, there will be left just dust and ashes. And the same thing is true when radioactivity finally burns itself out. There's just left inert, non-radioactive material. The length of time that it takes the match to burn out is what we call the life of the match. And the length of time that it takes radioactivity to burn out half of its energy is what we call its half-life. And this is something that I will explain in another video. There's one other comparison that I want to make to the match. While in the stadium we had thousands, tens of thousands of people lighting the matches. In the case of fallout, there would be millions, perhaps billions of pieces of dust lying around us, giving off the energy. And that is the distinction of why the energy would be so bright, brighter than the light of day, if one could see it, but they would have to have the special eyes of Superman because it's an invisible light. that you can't see. If I had the special eyes of Superman, the light from the fallout would be so bright that I couldn't bear to look at it. And if I had the krypton skin of Superman, the heat would be so intense that we would rush down into the shelter to get away from it. But in reality, while I couldn't see or feel radiation, it would be destroying the cells in my body. And the effects of radioactivity are something that I cover in another video. Comparing again to a match. With a single match, I couldn't heat a pot of soup. But on the other hand, if I had hundreds of matches that I held under the soup continuously, I could bring the soup to a boil. In other videos, I will discuss the various lengths and strengths of radiation, how to defend against it, and how to measure it. For the full list of our videos, you can look at our webpage, www.webpal.org.
Thank you for watching. Please remember that this series of videos is not just about your survival, but also about service to humanity and preparing to reconstruct society.